I paid for her new breasts. That's not a metaphor. I mean, I literally signed the check. 10 grand pulled from the home equity line I swore we'd only use for emergencies. It's not vanity, she said, smiling gently, placing her hand on mine. I just want to feel like myself again. And maybe it'll help us, too. And like an idiot in love, I believed her. I held her hand when she went under, brought soup while she healed, kissed her forehead when she winced getting out of bed. 3 weeks later, she was sleeping with someone else. We'd been married 6 years. My name's Levi Stroud, aerospace mechanic, Huntsville born and raised. I work on machines that stay airborne at 1,500 miles per hour, where one missing bolt can mean a fireball. I don't do drama. I fix what's broken. I keep things flying. Camille? She was different. More ethereal. A yoga teacher turned wellness coach turned earth-aligned influencer. Talked about chakras and moon cycles and the power of intuitive juicing. I never understood half of it, but I liked watching her laugh at her own posts. We made it work. Me with my grease-stained coveralls, her with her ring lights and herbal teas. I gave her stability. She gave me light. At least, that's what I thought. The first time she brought up surgery, we were on the porch sipping tea. She leaned into me, real soft, and said she didn't feel womanly anymore. I know it's just tissue, she said. But I look in the mirror and I see someone shrinking. I want to feel good in my skin again. For me. And for you too. I kissed her shoulder. Told her I loved her exactly as she was. She smiled, almost sadly. But I don't. That's how it started. No pressure. Just soft guilt and well-placed silence. By the following month, we were sitting in a polished clinic lobby in Nashville. The doctor, Bryce Vance, was all white teeth and confidence. He clapped my shoulder, said he'd take good care of her. Most husbands are hesitant, he said. But you're doing a great thing, man. You'll love the results. I didn't like the way he said it. But Camille squeezed my hand, and I pushed the doubt aside. The procedure went smoothly. Breast augmentation with subtle lift, plus non-invasive tip refinement on her nose. Her words, not mine. When she came out of anesthesia, she looked fragile, vulnerable. Do I look different? She asked. Not yet, I said. Still looks like my wife under all that gauze. She smiled. I fed her soup with a plastic spoon that night. Recovery took a few weeks. Camille spent most of it in bed, wrapped in silk robes and essential oil mists. I handled the house, the cat, the bills. She posted vague photos about deep healing and inner transformation. Her followers ate it up. The swelling faded. Her body changed. The nose looked straighter. Her chest, fuller. She started wearing plunging necklines she used to shy away from. Started taking solo trips again. Collabs, she said. Business partnerships. She promised they'd bring in real money soon. I didn't ask many questions. I was happy she felt confident. Maybe this would bring us closer again. But instead, she got colder. The turning point came on a Tuesday. She came home late from Nashville, glowing, giggling at something on her phone. She tossed her bag down, barely glanced at me. I asked her how the trip went. She said, incredible. Everything's falling into place. Then she showered, changed into a new nightgown I hadn't seen before, and climbed into bed with her phone facing away from me. That night, she didn't touch me. Not like she used to. I didn't go looking for betrayal. I was still the fool who believed I'd helped her bloom. But 2 days later, her iPad lit up while she was in the shower. A message preview. From someone named B. Don't forget, Thursday. Private dinner, no tags. You looked insane in that last post, eyes fire. He still doesn't know, does he? Once you lock the land paperwork, we'll talk next moves. Almost there. I tapped once. It wasn't a fan. It was Bryce Vance, the surgeon, the man who'd reshaped her chest while smirking at me in a consultation room. And from what I could see, he'd been reshaping a whole lot more than that. There were photos, messages, plans. One message said, "You're ready now. Fully. He doesn't fit your future." I do. The timestamps? All from the last 3 weeks. Right after the surgeries. Right after I kissed her forehead and whispered I loved her while she healed. That's when it hit me. The new body wasn't for her. It wasn't for me. It was for him. And I funded the whole damn transformation. I didn't confront her. Not yet. You don't scream when an engine fails, you land the plane. Quiet. Controlled. Calculated. She thinks she's leaving me broke and confused. She thinks she's getting my land, my savings, my silence. But Camille forgot who she married. I work in systems. I understand pressure. I know when something's about to crack and exactly where to put the wrench when it does. She thinks she upgraded. But the version of me she's about to meet? That man's built for revenge. Camille's back was turned, brushing her hair in front of the vanity mirror she insisted we buy. One of those round, glowing ones influencers love. Makes everyone look like an angel, even when they're a liar. I stood in the doorway, coffee in hand, trying to pretend everything felt normal. Big plans today? I asked. She smiled at her reflection. Just content edits. Then I'm headed to Vellum Spa for a microcurrent facial. It's sponsored, don't worry. Sponsored. Everything was sponsored now. Her clothes, her treatments, her half-truths. I sipped my coffee and nodded. Sounds good. She didn't notice I hadn't kissed her good morning. Didn't notice I hadn't touched her in 3 nights. She didn't notice anything. That day, I took the long way home from work. Not because I needed air, because I needed proof. Camille's iPad was synced to our cloud. That meant every message she sent or received from her MacBook or iPhone. Backed up and time-stamped. I didn't need to hack anything. I just logged into what was already mine. In a quiet corner of a library, I downloaded 3 months of correspondence. Everything between her and Bryce Vance. Texts, emails, drafted business plans. They'd already registered an LLC in Tennessee, Root and Radiance Collective. The worst part? They'd drawn up a proposal to buy my land. The 28 acres passed down from my grandfather, and turn it into a luxury feminine restoration retreat. Camille's notes included line items like, install glamping domes by spring, ceremony deck over Levi's East Pond, finalize quitclaim deed once divorce final. He's not a fighter. She didn't just betray me. She planned to build her future on my ashes. The next morning, I left early, told her I had an early shift at the hangar. Instead, I drove straight to First Stone Legal, where my buddy Nolan works in property law. We played baseball together in high school. He was a catcher. Always saw the pitch coming. I slid a manila folder across his desk. She thinks I'll roll over, I said. I want to show her I won't. He read the messages, then whistled. Damn, he muttered. She's smarter than she looks. I cracked my knuckles. No, she's just never been punched in the face by reality. By noon that day, we'd filed a preliminary motion to freeze the title on the property. Because here's the thing Camille didn't know. Even though we'd refinanced the house together, the land itself was still deeded to me. Inherited before marriage, uncontested, never co-signed. Nolan called it fireproof. And now? It was locked. Untouchable. I didn't tell her. Let her keep planning her goddess grove. Let her sketch out her sweat lodge. Let her think she was on the cusp of ascension. I wasn't done yet. Over the next few days, I went quiet. Played it calm. At night, we barely spoke. She was glued to her phone, her laptop, her reflection. Her Instagram was a flood of slow-motion videos, her hands tracing her curves, her eyes tilted in soft seduction. The caption on one post made me laugh out loud. Reclaiming my body, one breath at a time. Reclaiming. She used my money to rebuild herself and now talked like she was born from fire. Bryce's comments showed up like clockwork, always with emojis. Dizzy fire crown. I screenshotted everything. On a Thursday, Camille left for another collab weekend. She wore a backless linen dress and lip gloss I hadn't seen in our bathroom drawer. No goodbye kiss. Just a wish me luck. I didn't answer. 10 minutes after she pulled out of the driveway, I opened her closet. Top shelf. Gold envelope. Bank documents. One of them was a signed authorization to transfer $35,000 from our joint Helic to a business account ending in 4490, Root and Radiance. The signature? Mine. Or so they thought. It was forged. Poorly. Slanted wrong. Looped too high. Wrong date format. I always write month first. That was criminal fraud. I had the bank's proof in my hand. And just like that, their entire plan became a ticking time bomb. The next move wasn't rage. It was strategy. I booked a fake consultation at Bryce's clinic, under a burner name and email, just to get access to their intake forms. I used one of Camille's old ring lights to take a clear photo of my ID and compared it to the forged one on the transfer doc. They didn't even try to make it believable. Just assumed I'd never fight. I sent it all to Nolan. He called me an hour later. This is beyond divorce court, he said. This is fraud. Theft. They tried to steal a secured property asset using forged documentation. I said nothing. Just waited. Because the next step wouldn't come from me. Camille got home Sunday night. She was glowing again. That same post-op sparkle, but now laced with something new. Triumph. I sat at the table eating leftover barbecue. She dropped her bag and poured herself tea like nothing had changed. Then she sat across from me. Levi, she said softly, we need to talk. I set my fork down. Do we? Her smile faltered. I think I'm growing in ways that are hard to explain. I still care about you, but I need space. For my path. For the woman I'm becoming. I nodded slowly. You done? I asked. She blinked. What? Cool, I said. I just wanted to make sure I let you finish before the sheriff calls. She stared. What are you talking about? I stood, picked up the manila envelope from beside the fridge, slid it across the table like a man laying down his final hand in poker. Inside? A copy of the forged Helic withdrawal. A notarized affidavit proving the signature wasn't mine. The title freeze order on the land. And a flash drive with her full text history with Dr. Bryce Vance. Her face went pale. And that was before I said the final line. You really should have chosen a doctor who doesn't already have 2 complaints pending with the state medical board. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't gloat. Just watched her read each page like they were lines in her obituary. She said my name once, soft, pleading, but I was already walking down the hall. I heard the envelope hit the floor behind me. I slept better that night than I had in months. Not because it was over. Because it had just begun. I slept through the night for the first time in 4 months. No stress dreams. No phantom phone buzzes. No wondering where she was or who she was really texting under the covers. I woke up before the alarm, made black coffee, and stepped onto the porch barefoot like my grandfather used to. There was still dew on the wood rail. My world was quiet again. Not because things were fixed, but because the lies were no longer being whispered in my ear. Camille didn't come home that night after I handed her the envelope. Didn't text. Didn't call. And I didn't ask where she was. I already knew. The next day, her Instagram was back online. Of course. It was a photo of her at a retreat, sunlight in her hair, bare feet in a circle of rose petals. Captioned. Some chapters close softly. Some burn. What matters is what rises from the ashes. I choose rebirth. No mention of a husband. No mention of theft. No mention of the fact she'd forged my name to fund her, rebirth. I refreshed the post and watched the comments bloom. Your energy is so pure. Keep glowing, goddess. Whoever hurt you lost everything. I almost laughed. The people praising her didn't know the kind of woman they were dealing with. But soon, they would. That week, I didn't waste energy reacting. I got to work planning. There's something beautiful about revenge done right, not rushed, not rageful, but designed like a machine. Precision made. I didn't want Camille to cry. I wanted her to realize everything she thought she built was standing on beams I controlled. The first thing I did? Visited the bank. I sat across from the branch manager, a level-headed woman named Susan I'd worked with for years. I showed her the forged withdrawal request from our Helic. The date. The signature. My hotel receipt from Atlanta, timestamped that same day. Susan leaned forward, reading slowly. Camille signed this? She asked. She signed my name, I said. She didn't have permission. Susan stared at the page like it had insulted her personally. We'll file a freeze. Today. That was the first beam pulled. Camille didn't know yet. She was busy live-streaming breathwork in the Smoky Mountains with women in matching linen ropes. But I could feel the panic building behind her smile. Because Root and Radiance, the LLC she co-founded with Dr. Bryce Vance, had just applied for financing on a property in Tennessee. A 9-acre lot near a lake. And their financial projections? Relied heavily on secured assets from marital property, meaning my land. Not anymore. Next stop, the title office. I had the deeds redrawn. My land, all 28 acres of it, was inherited before marriage. Never transferred. Never touched by Camille's name. I filed an irrevocable land trust, placing the property in the name of my grandfather's original homestead entity. I became trustee. Camille? A legal stranger. From now on, even if we divorced and she tried to come for it, she'd be hitting stone walls. The kind you build underground. Quietly. Years in advance. By midweek, she came back. I was in the garage when I heard her car pull into the driveway. Not her usual floaty music playing. This time it was silence. No song. No wind chimes. I wiped my hands on a rag and waited. She knocked. Didn't even try her key. She knew. When I opened the door, she looked rough. Sunglasses, no makeup, jaw tight. I just need to get a few things, she said. I stepped aside without a word. She moved fast, upstairs, straight to the office, grabbed a hard drive and a box of journals she hadn't touched in a year. Before she left, she stopped in the hall. "Levi, whatever you're doing, can we at least be civil?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "I've been civil this whole time. That's why you got as far as you did." She flinched, then left without another word. That night, I logged into a fresh Instagram account I'd created. No photos, no followers, just a bio that read, "Sometimes light reveals rot." I wasn't going to post yet, not even a whisper. But soon, Camille's followers, the ones who worshipped her glow, her healing, her truth, they'd get a closer look at who they'd really been following. Not yet, but soon. Bryce posted a reel that same night. He stood in his clinic's courtyard, golden hour lighting, green juice in hand. You can't stop someone who's already chosen elevation. Let them stay bitter. You? Stay better. No names. No tags. But I could feel the smugness through the screen. They were still confident. They thought silence meant safety. They thought because I wasn't lashing out, I'd given up. They don't know what I've got. They don't know what's already in motion. They don't know I've been working in systems my whole life, and I just rewired theirs to fail. This isn't the part where it blows up. This is the part where the pressure builds, where the bolts start to groan, where people smile in public and panic in private. Camille thinks she walked away clean. Bryce thinks he got away with everything. But the truth? They're walking through a house that's already on fire. They just haven't smelled the smoke yet. 3 weeks. That's how long it took before the cracks turned into full-on fractures. Not because I exposed anything directly. Not yet. All I did was let nature and pressure take its course. See, betrayal like theirs is built on 2 things. 1, lies. 2, confidence in the other person's lies. And I'd cut both at the root. Camille started posting less. Gone were the long captions about rebirth, divine feminine power, or shedding what no longer serves you. Now, it was blurry selfies, recycled quotes, retreat videos from 2 years ago made to look new. Her engagement tanked. One brand removed its tag from her bio. Another commented, then deleted, looking into claims being circulated. We take our partnerships seriously. I didn't post a word, but the evidence was already in motion. Remember that blank Instagram account I made? @LightRevealsRot. It had no followers. Until one night, I uploaded a 7-second screen recording. Just this. The forged Helic withdrawal form. Camille's name. The date. The digital signature that was supposed to be mine, in a handwriting I haven't used since middle school. No caption. No hashtags. I shared it with one person, a former collaborator of hers who Camille once ghosted on a joint ebook launch. That was all it took. It spread like mold. Within hours, 2 influencer gossip accounts reposted it, blurring her last name, but not her handle. They didn't accuse. They just asked, "Anyone know what this is about?" Eyes. Camille went live the next morning with wet hair, red eyes, and a mug of tea too large to be casual. There's a lot of misinformation going around right now. I never meant to hurt anyone. I'm navigating this the best I can. Please be kind. She played the victim like it was her final performance. But even her followers were asking harder questions now. Was this about Levi? Didn't he buy your land? Is this what Root and Radiance was funded with? She didn't answer. She logged off for 3 days. Meanwhile, Bryce Vance was doubling down. His clinic started pushing a Rewire Your Masculinity men's program. He filmed a podcast where he said, "Some people get stuck in bitterness. They try to tear down what they don't understand. But when you're building something real, distractions are just noise." I watched the video in silence. He was sweating through his collar. And the comments? Weren't kind. Is this the guy from that wellness fraud post? Thought he got reported for shady hormone stuff. LMAO, this is the rebound surgeon? Turns out, Root and Radiance wasn't just losing credibility. It was bleeding investors. The land deal they were banking on. The 9-acre goddess sanctuary in Tennessee? Dead. Nolan forwarded me the public transaction. Denied due to unstable financial documentation and incomplete verification of listed assets. Translation: they tried to use my land, and the bank found the wall I built. I never told Camille. I didn't have to. The world was already doing the explaining for me. She showed up again the following week. Didn't knock. Just walked in while I was in the garage. I heard the door shut and her voice, small and brittle. "I'm not here to fight." I didn't answer right away. Just wiped my hands with a shop towel and turned to face her. She looked tired. Worn down. The kind of tired you can't retouch in Lightroom. I just need to know what you want, she said. Do you want me to apologize publicly? Delete my page? What are you doing to me? I stared at her for a moment. You're doing it to yourself. She blinked, lips trembling. Bryce said you'd try to ruin us. I chuckled. Not cruel, just honest. Tell him he's doing a better job of that than I ever could. She left without another word. Her eyes were glassy, but not with sadness. With realization. For the first time, she understood. I hadn't started my revenge yet. This was just the atmosphere. The air getting hotter. The walls tightening. The weight of consequence finally catching up to people who thought they could rise without leaving footprints. One night, I sat in my new place, not too far from the old land, but far enough that the ghosts didn't follow. The air was cool, beer cold, sky clear, and I watched Bryce go live. Not from his office. From a random Airbnb. Same lighting setup. Same pre-scripted nonsense. We're evolving. The brand is shifting. Bigger projects coming. Sometimes the path isn't linear. Translation. Investors bailed. Clinic lease gone. Sponsors fleeing. I smiled. Because the machine hadn't even been touched. It had just been shown for what it was. A pyramid on a paper plate. No final blow yet. No lawsuit. No press. But the fuel is soaking in. And when I finally light the match, they'll be standing right in the middle. I never wanted to be the kind of man who needed revenge to sleep at night. But I became one anyway. Not out of bitterness. Not even rage. But because some people only learn through consequence. And I wasn't going to waste my healing on people still cashing in on my silence. Camille and Bryce thought the damage had already been done. But they hadn't even started bleeding yet. It began with a single email. Not to Camille. Not to Bryce. To the Regional Investigative Health Board, subject line. Urgent. Wellness clinic operating outside legal scope. Multiple infractions attached. Inside. Copies of hormone prescription orders signed by Bryce Vance without appropriate endocrinologist credentials. Video clips of for rejuvenation therapy, advertised as cancer-reducing, illegal. Screenshots of testimonials scrubbed from their website after scrutiny began. It wasn't just about my marriage anymore. It was about exposing a man who made his living on pseudoscience, coercion, and seduction, dressed in enlightenment. And he handed me the scalpel. 2 days after the complaint was filed, a formal investigation opened. Bryce didn't post that week. Camille tried to cover the silence with overexposed sunset selfies and long captions about releasing control. Nobody bought it. The comments had turned from supportive to skeptical. Where's the retreat info? Why is Bryce tagged in old content, but not recent stuff? This doesn't feel like healing anymore. A week later, the wellness community subreddit picked up the story, and I didn't even have to say a word. Then came the podcast leak. I'd found it buried in Camille's cloud backups, an unedited pre-recording for a wellness show she was supposed to guest on. In it, she bragged about using investor trust to fast-track the land purchase. Even joked about forging some lines to make things move faster. I didn't release the episode myself. I sent it anonymously to the podcast's host, along with a court document showing the Hellick fraud had been formally submitted to the DA's office for civil review. The host, furious, burned her sponsorship on the spot, aired the tape in full. That's when Camille's world finally ignited. Her followers turned. The influencers she once partnered with started unfollowing in batches. One dropped a YouTube video titled, "Why I No Longer Support Earth-Aligned Camille." Another posted, "You can't preach integrity and build your brand on lies." Even worse, 3 brands she'd tagged as sponsors had never agreed to sponsor her. They issued public denials. That violated FTC guidelines. Now she wasn't just a fraud. She was a documented liability. The wellness community can forgive many things. But being fake? That's social death. Camille posted a final live video. No filters. No music. Eyes puffy. Jaw clenched. Some of you think you know the truth. You don't. I've made mistakes, but I never meant to hurt anyone. I just wanted to build something beautiful. The comments weren't kind. You built it with someone else's money. Tell us how forging your husband's signature was self-care. Don't gaslight us. You got caught. She ended the stream early. It was over. As for Bryce, his clinic closed under regulatory review. His accounts went dark. Then came the civil penalties. The board hit him with fines for unlicensed claims, misuse of client testimonials, and operating outside medical boundaries. He tried to pivot to crypto wellness. Didn't last a month. Camille filed for a quiet separation agreement through her lawyer. She didn't even try to contest the land. There was nothing left to fight over. The house sold. The LLC dissolved. The retreat dream? A scorched sketch in a forgotten folder. And me? I took a long drive through Tennessee. No destination. Just sky and pine and time. I stopped at a lakeside bar, drank a single beer, and scrolled through her now private page. 3 posts. All quotes. No photos. No comments. Just a digital tombstone for a woman who thought she could remake herself by stepping on the man who loved her. People asked me if I ever missed her. I don't. Because what I missed never really existed. She wasn't the girl on my porch drinking tea in bare feet. That girl was a mask. A starting point. A beautiful draft she never finished. It took me a long time to forgive myself, for not seeing it sooner, for funding the lie, for thinking love made me safe. But I'm not bitter. I just know better now. Last I heard, Camille was doing pop-up breathwork sessions in Arizona, living out of a rented RV. Bryce moved west. New alias. No license. They might find new people to fool, but they'll always know. Someone out there knows who they really are. And what they built wasn't torn down by hate. It was burned down by truth.